Why does my life look so good on paper, but feel so wrong? This question got me because I had to do a lot of introspection on where I would even start with answering this question. When I think about good on paper, I think about a life that looks enviable. You might have a high status job or kids that are doing really well and look really accomplished. Your family just looks amazing. Your lifestyle looks amazing. You're always on trips or live in the best neighborhood. You might make a lot of money. Something about your existence is enviable to others. That to me is what good on paper looks like. And the flip side to that question, but feels so wrong, that to me is when we get into this point where your internal reality is mismatched with your external reality. They're just not seeing eye to eye. When I realized this, that I had a life good on paper but felt wrong, I started to panic because I started to think about just blaming myself for picking the wrong thing. And then I shifted to blaming my environment because it was just a really hard environment to be in. But when I stopped blaming, and I got over that phase of that realization, I just sat and thought, okay, wow, I need to ask myself better questions because I need to figure out how this happened. I did everything I was supposed to do. I got good grades. I achieved. I went to good schools and went on and just kept going to school. I ended up getting 3 degrees, and 2 of which were at Ivy League schools. And I just kept going and going and achieving. And I got a job as a CRNA. So everything from the outside looked really successful to anybody looking in. And I mean, on paper, I had absolutely no reason to complain. And I didn't, but something was brewing. When I lost that North Star, when I was done with the achievement and the going, and I finally just got to where I got and settled into my career, all of the accolades and the attention from achieving went away. And so I replaced that with high salary, but the reality of my job started to set in. And I worked in critical care, intensive care unit environments, and then the operating room. And if anybody's not familiar with those environments, they are very high stress. They are sad a lot of the time, the things that you see. You have a lot of responsibility on you. And there are a lot of egos. It's very, it can be a really difficult environment to work in. And so I did that for 16 years. And I woke up one day and realized that my life felt wrong. And let me tell you, that was like someone punched me in my gut. What do you mean wrong? Like, I had spent so much of my life working towards and building this life. How could it be wrong? So let's talk about this mismatch for a second. When your internal feelings, your internal desires don't match your external reality. And it's a life that may function and look great, but it doesn't fit. And you might not know why it doesn't fit, which can be really confusing. There was a moment where I just stopped asking for permission to feel this way. It is my life. It's my lived experience and human experience here. It's how I spend every second of my day. So, regardless of what the external validation looks like, if it doesn't match how I feel internally, why am I doing it? So my story is more along the golden handcuffs kind of story. And if you've never heard that term before, it just means exactly what we've been talking about. That things look impressive on paper, your life is enviable, you might make great money, and you can't leave. You got handcuffs because ... I can't leave this salary. I can't leave this prestige of the company I work for. What would my friends say? And so you stay, but you feel miserable in a life that looks great. There are issues of sunk cost. So sunk cost means like, I've put so much work into this. It took me 11 years. I took the long way around to become a CRNA. That's some sunk cost right there. Or opportunity costs. I make 6 figures a year. If you think about 10 years from now not making that anymore, how much missed income is that? The effort. I've built so many accounts over so and so years. Think I'm just gonna let that go? I'm just gonna give that up? I'm up for promotion soon. I've been working at this for so many years. Why would I give that up? So there are so many things to keep you tied into a life that feels wrong. And what makes a good life on paper even harder to separate yourself from is that there's always some part of it that continues to reward you for staying. I talk about career because that's my reality, but this can be applied to so many different circumstances. I'm sure you see that. That when you are living a life that doesn't match how you feel internally or who you've become internally, it can just feel so wrong and out of place. So the original question that we started this video off with, why does a life that looks so good on paper feel so wrong? I think that question, I want to take it one level further and pose the question or the statement, what if the self that built this life is no longer the self that's living in it? I mean, I just think about who I was 15 or 20 years ago. That's a very different person. And I think a lot of the feeling so wrong part of the sentence, this response we have to living a life that doesn't feel like ours, I think that a lot of that guilt comes from grieving. It comes from grieving the version of you that genuinely wanted to create this life. I mean, you did at one point. You built it purposefully. And then when you find out, wow, it's not matching who I am now, it's not matching what I want my life to look like 10 years from now, that can put you into a state of grief. Like all of the things we talked about, the sunk cost, the opportunity cost, the effort, the external validation that you get, because people, we love being seen. We love being validated. Most people feel good when someone wants what they have. When someone acknowledges, wow, you're doing really good for yourself. That all feels good. So to start the process of even acknowledging that your life's not right anymore for you now, man, that is like, it's so gut-wrenching. It's overwhelming. It's like, okay, I'm at the very base of this mountain. How am I going to start even unraveling? How am I going to start climbing this mountain? Like, where do I even start fixing this? That got me thinking of the question, what parts of my life are genuinely mine? And what parts of my life are from external validation and reward? And what parts of my life feel like expressions of me? and what parts of my life are just motivated by that external validation. And I think these questions are so tricky because unless you know yourself at some level, how could you know what you want? How could you know what an expression of you is? What parts of your life have you just stopped questioning? I think answering that question would lead me to a better answer to the first question we posed today. So I am here asking questions to try and help that internal match the external a little bit better. Because I think that is a good place to start. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much to all of the people that commented and watched my first 2 videos. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out, and I thank you for being here. Until next time.